I want to tell you about a conversation that broke time, a conversation between two versions of myself that should have been impossible. It started with the Pink Floyd song, you know the one, Comfortably Numb, that haunting question, is there anybody in there? But as I sat there listening, something clicked. What if there was? What if the person asking that question could actually reach back through time and warn the version of himself who was just beginning to build those walls? See, I realized that Roger Waters wrote two songs that tell the same story, just decades apart. Another Brick in the Wall, the angry child rebelling against an abusive school system, declaring we don't need no education. And then Comfortably Numb, the adult so damaged by life that he needs medical intervention just to function, asking desperately if anyone can still reach the person trapped inside. But here's what nobody talks about. That rebellious child becomes the numbed adult. The wall that started as protection becomes the prison. The same institutional trauma that creates the rebellion also creates the numbness that eventually requires pharmaceutical intervention. I started wondering, what if the adult could call back to the child? What if the person who learned the hard way about where those walls lead could warn the version of himself who was just beginning to build them? Not to stop the rebellion, that was necessary, but to show a different path. To say, I hear you, little me. I know why you're angry, but there's another way through this that doesn't end with needing a needle to feel human. What emerged was more than just a response to Pink Floyd. It became a conversation across time about how we protect ourselves, how that protection becomes our prison, and whether we can break cycles of damage before they complete themselves. This is that conversation. This is what happens when the future calls back to warn the past, when experience tries to guide innocence, when someone who became comfortably numb reaches back to the child who still had the capacity to feel everything.
Behind this wall, the same wall you're about to start, brick by brick, to guard your heart. I can hear you, but you sound so far, like echoes from a dying star. What wall? I'm standing in the sun. My story's only just begun. Don't become comfortably numb. Don't let the machine make you dumb. I thought the needle was my friend, but needles break and never mend. Pain out became a prison filled with doubt. Remember mother's little helper? The first time flying felt like shelter. You thought you found the secret door, but it only led to needing more. You say mothers, helpers, needles, pain. I just wanna feel like I belong. What could possibly go wrong? Don't become another brick in the wall that makes you sick. When you run and when you crawl, you're still trapped. Teacher's right, you need no education in pharmaceutical meditation. We are just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl, year after year. The lunatic was in my head. The lunatic was me instead. I wished you were here, but you were gone the moment I first got it wrong. Maybe this time we can break the wall. Maybe this time we won't fall. We don't need no medication to handle our own navigation. The dark side called, but we won't go. I'm learning what I need to know. Hello, is there anybody out there? Yes, yes, there's still somebody in here.
You know what's remarkable about that conversation? It's not just between two versions of me. It's between two versions of all of us. We all have that moment when we first learned that the world could hurt us, when we first realized we needed protection. And most of us, in that moment, started building walls. Some of us built them out of anger, some out of fear, some out of sheer necessity. But we built them. And here's the thing about walls. They work. They keep the pain out, but they also keep everything else out. Connection, joy, the very feelings that make us human. Until eventually, we find ourselves asking that same desperate question. Is there anybody in there? But maybe it doesn't have to end that way. Maybe the point isn't to never build walls. Sometimes we need them to survive. Maybe the point is to remember that walls are temporary. That protection doesn't have to become prison, that we can learn to feel again, to connect again, to be vulnerable again. Pink Floyd asked the question. This song suggests an answer. Yes, there's still somebody in there, and that somebody is calling back through time. Not to change the past, but to remind us that the future is still being written. The wall we built to survive doesn't have to be the wall we live behind forever. Sometimes the most radical act is choosing to feel, choosing to stay awake, choosing to shine on, even when the world tries to make us comfortably numb. If this conversation between past and future resonated with you, there's more where this came from. This is part of our Twisted Reaction series, where we dive deep into the songs that shaped us and create musical responses that explore what those classics are really asking. Every episode is a journey into the heart of music that matters, not just reviewing songs, but having real conversations with them. Hit that subscribe button if you want to join us on this exploration of music, memory, and meaning. And let me know in the comments, what song do you think needs a response? What classic track has a question that's never been fully answered? Because the conversation doesn't end here. It's just beginning. Thank you.